About 6 years ago, I embarked on a journey at the age of 22 to become a millionaire by the age of 30. 6 years later, today, I am nowhere near a millionaire. And if you look at how much money I have made over the past 6 years, the journey that I was forecasting was that I was going to make money from the stock market. Most of the money that I made today is not from the stock market. Only a fraction is from the stock market. And I would let you guess how much money I made from the stock market. Please write it in the comments. So let me tell you the story of how I started and how this relates to you. Because even you, maybe you want to make money from the stock market, you want to become a millionaire from the stock market, but this is very hard. And if you look at the average investor, it's actually impossible if you want to make money from the stock market alone. Because the average investor, their returns is 3.6% annually over the past 20 years. And if let's say you had invested $2,000, it is with what I had started. So if you started with $2,000 and invested that at 3.6% returns a year, you would need to wait 175 years to become a millionaire. For me, my returns, of course, are much better than those 3.6%. My returns are 40% a year. But most of these returns came from only one company, one stock, that is GameStop. We are not going to talk about GameStop. If you're interested, you can watch. I have made so many videos about this company, the whole story. I'll put the card somewhere around. So this is unsustainable. I cannot make 40% a year every year. It was once in a lifetime investment. So let's say someone makes 40% a year. How many years do they need to wait if they had initially invested $2,000 like me? How much time do they need to wait for them to become a millionaire? It's 18 years. Warren Buffett's return is 20% annually. So in his case, if let's say he had invested $2,000 like me, he would need to wait 34 years to become a millionaire. And if you look at the average market returns of 10%, one would need to wait 65 years to become a millionaire. So just investing in the stock market, an initial amount of $2,000 is not enough for you to become a millionaire. There are a few things you can do here. Maybe you can invest more money. You start with more money, but to start with more money, you need to find the money first. Or you can invest consistently. Instead of just investing once, $2,000, maybe you can invest $2,000 today, and every month you add $1,000. But you need to find that $1,000 every month. So this is the issue. It's not so simple. And you need to understand something. Maybe you're watching this video, you will tell me you are an above average investor, and I hope you are. But the probability is highest that you are an average investor. You're watching this video, and as I told you, the average market return is 3.6% a year. So in my case, if let's say I was going to make 3.6% a year, I was the average investor. Over a period of 8 years, I wanted to become a millionaire. Every month, I needed to invest an additional $9,000. And I don't have that amount of money to invest every month. So what exactly should you do? Should you give up the hope of becoming a millionaire? No. What you need to do first is look at this beautiful formula about compound interest. If you understand this formula, you will know what you need to do to become a millionaire or even a billionaire if you want. So there are a few terms here that if you increase these terms, the amount of money eventually you will make will increase. The rate of return. So if you can make 10% a year, someone else makes 20% a year, you start with the same amount. The person who makes 20% a year, of course, will make more money than you. The amount of time you're going to invest. So if you want to wait longer to become a millionaire, eventually you will become a millionaire. But you don't want to wait 200 years too. So this is the first goal that you have to put to yourself. In my case, I wanted to become a millionaire in 8 years. I don't know, it was unrealistic maybe now when I think about it, but I will tell you the story in a few minutes why I thought it was possible. So I started with $2,000 as I told you. So I had to compound it at 117% a year in order for me to become a millionaire in that 8 years. And how I intended to do that, I wanted to day trade, I wanted to swing trade, and I thought it was possible. Just looking at the compound interest formula, I thought it was possible. If you day trade, let's say you day trade every day, you make 1%. Of course, you're going to double your money in a couple of months, but this is unsustainable. So you need to know how to compromise on returns. Because if you're going to seek very high returns, maybe for 1 month you can make it, but then you can lose everything. Because high returns, in most cases, it means higher risk. And maybe you don't want to take that amount of risk. So be reasonable on the returns you want to make. I told you so far I made 40% on the market, but I don't expect this to continue. Maybe you can be happy with 20% because Warren Buffett made 20%. And you need to be patient. Coming back to the formula, the greater the time factor, the more money eventually you're going to make. And another important thing is that there is constant contribution. If you contribute every month, so that the initial amount is increasing every month, then there is another formula. It becomes more complicated, but let's use the same formula. But you understand, the more consistent you are in your investing, the more money eventually you'll have every month. So there needs to be a way for you to actually not only start investing with an amount of money, because when I started with those $2,000, that was everything I had. I didn't have more money to invest. My only income was the stipend from the university. So I was living on that. There was nothing else coming to me for me to invest. It was all the savings I had. So what changed for me was that I became a popular investor on eToro. When I became a popular investor on eToro, I was making an additional income and I was reinvesting everything. So I was living with a stipend. The stipend I was using to buy things that I had to buy. I was studying in Russia, by the way. I was studying physics, theoretical physics, and I was living in the hostel. It was not the most comfortable lifestyle. In a single floor, you had only one kitchen, one bathroom, so it was not the most comfortable lifestyle, but it worked for me. So that additional income as a popular investor that I was making from eToro, this is what I used to reinvest. So that 2000 initial investment increased gradually because I was reinvesting every month. So I was adding more and more money every month to my eToro account. And as I expanded my business as a popular investor, I was making even more money from eToro and reinvesting everything. When I came back to my country after my studies, there were no stipend anymore. So I had to spend the money I was making from eToro. That's when I stopped reinvesting my money. But I tried to create new income sources. For example, Teachable. If you're interested, you can find my investing course for beginners on Teachable. All my research, all my analysis are posted on my research platform. If you're interested, you can find the link somewhere here or down below. So this was an additional income for me, which I reinvested. So far, I made only $900 from YouTube. I already talked about the issue so many times. There was some issue with the pin. So these were the incomes that I made. And if you count of all the income that I made over the past 6 years, what percentage of it comes from actually investing in stuff? It is only 30%. Most of it comes from eToro and also Teachable. Of course, I am constantly thinking of how to increase this income from eToro as a popular investor on Teachable, and even YouTube now is monetized. So how I can make more money and reinvest this money. Speaking of YouTube, it is the right time, I think, to smash the like button so that this video can spread throughout the universe and more people can watch it. I'm going to make more money and reinvest more money. So the more money I make, the better the videos are going to be. So it's good for you. So please smash the like button. So how does my story help you? If you want to make money from the stock market, what you need to do, don't make the same mistake I did trying to aim higher than possible. I told you I wanted to become a millionaire with the stock market, and I thought it was possible to make 117% a year for 8 years. It is impossible. Some people can make it, but they got lucky. Most people will not make it, and if you try it, most probably you're going to fail. This is the truth. The gurus on social media won't tell you. You're most likely going to fail. You start a business, you're most likely going to fail. It is better if you have a stable source of income, use it, save some money, invest the money. Of course, I'm not telling you not to start a business. You can start a business, but this is a risk. You need to consider all these risks before you do something. Because there is something called the survivorship bias. Most of the people we see successful on TV, those billionaires, they are the ones that survive. You don't hear the stories of those who fail. You hear the story of Steve Jobs, of Bill Gates, who quit college and made so much money. Nobody's going to make a movie about the guy who did not invent Facebook. They're going to make a movie about the guy who invented Facebook. You need to understand the survivorship bias. The probability that you succeed starting a business, that you become a millionaire, you invest in the stock market, and you're going to make 40% a year is quite low. I'm not telling you it is impossible, but you need to work on a strategy before you embark on this journey. Why it was possible for me to reinvest my eToro income? It was because I had this stipend and I was living with a very not so comfortable lifestyle. So it's also about saving the most amount of money you can. And if you really want to make money from the stock market, you want to do this full time as I'm doing, then you need to understand that most of the income is not actually going to come from the stock market. And it's not just for me, it's from all investors. You look at Warren Buffett, he did not make money investing in stocks. He made money through his partnership initially. So those people whose money he was managing was taking a fee from them. Of course, he had great returns, and because of these great returns, he made money from these people. The same thing for any hedge fund manager. You look at Ray Dalio, it's from fees. That's how people make money in the stock market. For me, the fees is not direct because I make money from eToro, which pays me. So the fees is not directly from the clients, but I make money on Teachable. I am trying to make money on YouTube. So even if you're a full-time investor, you need to understand that most of your income is from other businesses. But eventually you want to grow to a certain size, that then really most of the income comes from the stock market. Because you look at Warren Buffett today, most of his income, it's through stock appreciation of Berkshire Hathaway. It's not the salary he's receiving from the company. But that is something that is achievable later, at a later stage, not immediately when you have just started. Speaking of hedge funds, they all invest the same way. And sometimes you can predict in which stocks they are most likely going to invest in. Recently, I made a video about a stock that probably hedge funds are going to buy. If you're interested, please watch that video and have a nice day and goodbye.